Hi, my love. This is going to be your spiritual seance reading. First off, I would like to say thank you so much for being very patient with me as I get through these orders. I just go down the list in the order that I receive them. And so, also for the seance reading, it may or may not be filmed in two parts. It just depends on how this reading goes. Sometimes I get interruptions like the doorbell or or my phone will start to ring, which I'm filming from my phone. So if someone tries to call me, the video will stop recording. So in cases like that where I have no control over the disruptions, I will put it in two parts. Otherwise, this will be a completely free-flowing video. It's just going to be done pretty much live as I can make it for you. And normally I would have my face, so you know it's me. Hello. Normally I would have the camera on me, filming me, talking to you face to face, but I don't have makeup on and I don't really feel like being on camera. But I am here. So instead of it being on me, especially because during this during the channeled portion, I prefer to have kind of like the space to just kind of automatic write down what comes through and just feel it out. So I'm going to be doing that for you. In this time frame while I'm doing this, I encourage you to kind of sit, close your eyes, get comfortable. I'll have a candle, a crackle candle here so that you can kind of, if you want to focus on something, you can focus on the candle. Some labradorite here, a little slab of labradorite. There we go. There's our little shine. Labradorite's really good for psychic connection and then also soothing if you're nervous and whatnot. And then I have mine. Okay, so let me make sure I have a deck close by because I will be doing tarot reading after. So there we go. Okay. And I double checked to make sure there was no question. You were not asking any questions for the reading, so we're not going to focus on anything in particular. This is just a free flow reading, and we'll see what comes through. So like I said, what I do is I'm going to free write as I connect. This portion only takes like 5 minutes or so. And I'm just going to cleanse the space. And I invite spirit to come through. And I believe you said your name is pronounced Maite. Come through, please. Anything that needs to be said. Okay. Hopefully my pen will choose to work. I'm sorry. Of course. Okay, let me grab another marker that I have close by. We will not let that deter us. So some of your messages are kind of so when spirit talks very different for people. So for you, spirit was talking very like in phrases. So when I do the readings, I also like to say, please keep in mind that I can do my best to interpret a message as best as I can, but it's up to you to kind of feel how it fits you personally. I get what I get, but I can't sit and try to interpret for you because that'll you know what I mean? Like spirit can show me something, but for you it'll be very specific. So there's a couple things that came up where I could try to interpret what I think spirit is trying to say, but perhaps you'll know because you're gonna have that one-on-one like relationship. So, so okay, let's get started. So first off, what I was feeling was a young spirit energy around. I wrote small boy. A very young spirit is around you. I don't know if perhaps this is somebody who has passed in your family or a friend of a friend or somebody or in your midst. But they passed young, and at least they're appearing to me in a young energy form. And it looks and it feels like a small boy. Very playful in energy, very curious. Okay. They gave me the impression of imaginary friend. So I wrote down imaginary friend playing in the grass. So I was getting kind of like the feel of this was something that took place a long time ago. I feel like this was when you grew up. Maybe you grew up and you had an imaginary friend and you would often play in the grass. I was just seeing like endless field of grass and a lot of like just using your imagination, playing and having like this one-on-one time. So if you had an imaginary friend, perhaps the spirit boy energy was that and that's what's coming through. Perhaps, or if it is a small boy, somebody that you actually knew who has passed away young, perhaps they're delivering the message of, you know, memories of playing together when you guys were little. So like that's what I mean is that I'll get stuff like this and it's really hard for me to interpret that. I'll see it how I see it, but perhaps you will make a better connection with that. Next I saw purple. So I heard and I saw purple. I feel like that's a prominent color for you. I also got that it's your aura at this time. You have a very psychic in nature, very natural psychic, like natural born psychic energy to you. And with your purple in your aura, it tells me that you often have an easy connection to spirit, which also, if that goes hand in hand with this imaginary friend, that you had a lot of spirit connection as a young child. So all of those imaginary friends that you had, or thinking you see things, or seeing things from the corner of your eye, or seeing shadow people, or feeling nervous at nighttime because you feel like someone else is in the room, that wasn't you being sensitive, or that wasn't you, like it wasn't like how, you know, like parents will say, it's just your imagination or whatever. It wasn't. It was literally spirit. So you have a very purple aura to you, and I was just getting like, I wrote down psychic in nature. So I feel like it's a natural born ability that you have, whereas some people like for me, I wasn't natural. I was very imaginative when I was a little girl, but I never really had experiences of seeing spirit. I had experiences of hearing spirit, but not seeing them. And then after my brother passed away, I started to really sense them. And so I feel like, you know, after you have a major trauma in life, sometimes that will spark your ability to come out. So I feel like for you more so, it was a natural ability. Like you're one of those people who you've always had that sixth sense, even as a very, very young child. I also wrote down calm soul. So your energy is a calm soul. I also wrote down old soul. So you have that vibration. You may have also been told in life that you have a very old soul. You're very calm. I feel like there could be crazy chaos going on and you won't freak out. You just have a very like calm, unrealistically calm nature to you. Like people just think, how can you be so relaxed right now? How can you not be so stressed right now? I feel like that goes hand in hand with the old soul that you have. I feel like you've lived multiple lifetimes prior to the one you're in now, and that's caused you to be super experienced. It's caused you to be aware of yourself, and it's just kind of like you're comfortable with these crazy chaotic situations because you've been there, done that. So I definitely feel like that's part of the reason why you're so calm and collected when everybody else is going crazy. So then I felt a grandmother's spirit energy around you. Now, I don't know if this is a grandmother who has passed, but the funny thing is that I immediately was given the image of the talking. So I don't know, this will probably age me. I don't know how old you are or whatnot, but the talking willow tree on Pocahontas. I don't know if you've ever seen the Disney movie Pocahontas, but do you know the grandmother willow? So it's a tree that has a grandmother's face within it. And so I saw that right away. So I don't know if this is one of those things I was talking about earlier, where you may have a weird connection to that, and that might be kind of like something where you'll be like, oh my God, I know exactly what that means. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm thinking grandmother energy, perhaps. Maybe you have a grandmother who has passed that is around you. So if you do, let that be validation that she's here. But this could also be a spirit guide, and it could also be nature spirit. So it could be like you have a closeness, like an earthy vibe to you, or you have like this closeness with trees and that kind of thing, and being outdoors and nature, it just calming to you perhaps. But the grandmother willow tree in Pocahontas was a very specific image that I saw. And then I wrote down advice giver. So this energy, whether this is a grandmother who has passed or this is a spirit energy that's just around you, they give you advice. This is where you get some of those like weird random ass ideas where I feel like sometimes you come up with stuff and you're just like, I don't know where that came from. Or maybe it's just like you find yourself knowing answers to things that you really would, it's like, how would I know this? Or if you're going through a situation and you're seeking advice and then somehow you just get this wave of like emotion through you where you're like, you suddenly just feel calm. And that's what advice giver is I feel like this is the grandmother energy is there around you giving you that advice. They are helping you through certain situations that maybe you're not quite, sure of, or they're giving you advice. They're helping you along the way. I also wrote down breath of fresh air and window gazer, often daydream. So I feel like the breath of fresh air is kind of saying like, maybe like they give that to you. Maybe they calm you down. Maybe that's why you're so calm in energy, because that, you have an old soul, but also you have that grandmother spirit around you who does that for you. But I don't know, for some reason I wrote breath of fresh air. Window gazer, often daydream, I feel is just something that you do. You probably have this habit of doing so. You like to look out windows. You just kind of, you could lose yourself looking out at windows and, people watching. Like, I know some people do this as a thing, because I like to do this, where I like to just sit and watch people, and it probably freaks other people out who notice me. It's like, who's that girl sitting there just watching me, but I love it. I find it so relaxing. And so I feel like that it might be something that you do in a pastime, like to pass your time, or just like when you're out and about, maybe you find comfort or relaxation in just people watching. But you may also have the ability to lose yourself in daydreams, which is also a sign of being super psychic. A lot of times when you're connecting to spirit, or when you're sensing spirit around you, you're just like constantly living in between worlds, in between realms, you'll find yourself drifting. you're constantly in daydream because you're connecting on another level. And it's just like everyday people who just see you, they just see you as like, hello, like wake up, whereas with you, you're just connecting, and that's how you are. I also wrote down yellow. And then I immediately wrote down solar plexus, more nutrients, better eating. I also wrote down stomach cramping. So I feel like maybe you have health issues around the stomach. There's certain foods that you're eating that are upsetting the stomach area. Cramping in the stomach is something that maybe you struggled with as you've grown up. So I put down better eating. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not here to tell you how to eat and whatnot, but I am here to say that Spirit is saying there's certain things that you're eating that you know are triggering some of these stomach crampings, or you know it's not something you should be eating, but maybe it's something you love to eat. So they're kind of like putting that there is just saying taking care of your solar plexus, because your solar plexus is literally right above your belly button. And so to me, the solar plexus, it's looked at as the color yellow. But it's your joy center, it's your gut instincts, but it's also your health. Okay. So I feel like the Spirit is kind of bringing that up for a reason. So maybe there's some issues with your eating. Maybe there's things that you know you need to change. Maybe you've been experiencing the stomach cramping, but also solar plexus energy could also be your gut instincts. The Spirit could also be showing yellow as a sign for you to trust your gut more, to strengthen your gut instincts. I also feel like, okay, I feel like that was a sign. So I had a piece of my hair right here on the arm and I pulled it off. Anytime I'm in like channel mode, I feel like anything is a sign. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I don't know if you experience hair loss, but for some reason that sticks out to me. So hair loss could be another thing because we are talking about health. Okay. And then like I was saying, solar plexus is your, it's your, oh my God, now I can't think. It's your joy center, like when you're happy, what makes you truly happy. And then also it's your trusting your gut instincts. So, there could be areas or issues with, like, I just heard depression. So maybe you struggle with depression from time to time. Like, I feel like it comes on and off. And so maybe, you know, there's areas there that you need to kind of work with, finding things, activities, or even people, places that will make you feel joy. And I feel like Spirit wants you to feel not just happy, but they want you to feel like the solar plexus happy, where it's like, have you ever had that experience where you laugh so deeply that you can't breathe? That is like triggering the solar plexus. Okay. Other things that you could do when you're working with your solar plexus energy is to work with the color yellow, wearing yellow, you know, eating yellow foods. So corn, lemons are my favorite, adding lemon to your waters. And also, like, as you're eating the yellow foods, bananas, set the intention that they're going to go straight towards, you know, working with your solar plexus. Okay. And then also meditations dealing with the solar plexus, and you can also get yellow crystals. I don't believe I have any. Oh, I do. So I have a honey calcite. So any crystal that is like yellow in color, this is more of like a brownish, but I think honey calcite is a really pretty one for that kind of work. So, but yeah, eating yellow foods, having a yellow crystal when you're meditating with specifically for that chakra, you know, different things like that. But anything that can help you remember the solar plexus. Okay. Okay. And then I also wrote endless road ahead, fork in 2 years. So I feel like, and we could pull cards for this too. There's an endless road ahead is what Spirit is saying, that there's pretty much when they say endless road ahead, to me, it's like you have a lot yet to discover in your life. You have a long road ahead, but in a 2-year time frame, this is my intuition. In a 2-year time frame, there's going to be a fork in the road. You're going to have to make a big decision between two things, two people, perhaps, two areas of living, something. There's going to be a fork in the road. And anytime there's a fork in the road, it's like, do you go this way or that way or straight? And when you go straight, you continue the path that you're already on, or you make a decision and you go off on another road. So that in a 2-year time frame, so you could write that as a note for yourself, because 2 years is a while from now, but maybe 2 years later, you'll look back on your reading and you'll think, oh my gosh, like this happened or whatever. So in 2-year time frame, I feel there's going to be a major fork in the road where you have to make a big decision. Okay. And then I also wrote change now. So I feel like is maybe you're starting to feel yourself shift. You're starting to feel the itch for change. Something in your life is just no longer fitting you. Maybe you want to start some changes. Maybe it's to the eating situation, or it could be your living situation, or whatever the case. But Spirit is saying change now. So I feel like they're saying like start the change now instead of delaying it later. And then this was really random. But when I wrote change now, then I saw Alice in Wonderland. So I was specifically paying attention to the rabbit hole. I don't know what that means. I feel like that's going to be something specific for you. But Alice in Wonderland, is it a favorite movie as a child? Is it a book you read or reading? Is it something you're into? Is there something about Alice in Wonderland, the movie, the characters that you're really connected with? Like, I don't know. To me, if I'm like trying to intuitively interpret this, Alice in Wonderland, the story of Alice in Wonderland is all about going down like this adventure, right? She's just meeting new people. She's going through this crazy ass world. But she's a daydreamer too. So kind of weird how I wrote that down for you too, like daydreamer and stuff. But the whole story is like she's learning lessons for herself, but she's also meeting people, and these people are giving her things to think about, and she's learning. And then she's facing some fears too. So I feel like maybe Alice in Wonderland could be kind of within that 2-year time frame. There's going to be something correlating with that. It could be big changes. It could be meeting some new people. I mean, Spirit is weird in the way that they send us messages, and sometimes it doesn't always make sense until like it's actually happening or later. But that's what I got for you. So that is the channeled portion of your reading. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to go ahead now and let's dive. Let me highlight this so I make sure I know we did that. So let's get into the tarot portion. Okay. All right. I always have to remember to close my close the space up. Let's have the honey calcite out on the table for you. Also, I have smoky quartz. Sometimes smoky quartz will look kind of brownish, yellowish in color. So smoky quartz is a really cheap crystal you can find pretty much anywhere in any of those crystal shops. Also, citrine is a good one too. So those are just some ideas for you if you're looking for a yellow crystal. Because for some reason, Spirit wants your solar plexus. You got to work with it more. All right. So let's look at your energy right now. Beginning. We have growth. Yeah, you're definitely changing. You're going through something. Are you pregnant? I don't know. Like there's a little fetus in the image. And growth. That would be interesting. Vision. I'm seeing 6, so let's pull 6. Let's pull 6 oracle cards, and then we'll start pulling some tarot. Oh, there's the sacral chakra. Friendship, separation. Okay, so First things first, with your energies, there's something brewing, okay? There's something brewing. I don't want to be that person that like talks pregnancy and all that. Like, I don't like to do that, but I will just throw that out there. So is there a pregnancy? Are you pregnant right now? Or are you planning to be pregnant? There's that too, okay? So I'm just going to leave it like that because I don't like to be that reader that does that. Unless I'm specifically asked, because then I feel like it's just being rude. But I will just say that, because if it is true, then that's freaking amazing, because these two cards, these two cards really reveal that. We have beginning, and then we also have growth. So it could be that too, okay? But the other thing I'm seeing with your energy is you're in the beginning of something. You're in the starting mode of something new. Something fresh has just happened, whether it just happened or it's about to, okay? You're growing from this, and then within the spine, within your backbone, there's multiple other things growing from it. So that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like in a 2-year time frame, you're going to be in a crossroads, like that fork in the road, a crossroads type of a situation. You're developing, okay? You're further developing, and you're going to be somewhere where you're going to have to make a decision real soon. The vision, I feel, is kind of saying keeping your eye on the prize. Stay focused in what it is that you want to achieve, okay? Because maybe, like, is you being a daydreamer, maybe you easily lose sight of yourself. You lose sight of the situation, and you forget to focus on the main task. And you could be more of a detail-oriented person versus, like, focusing on the main topic, the main story, the main situation. Then we have the sacral chakra, which is all about creation, which is another reason why I was saying pregnancy, because the sacral obviously it takes place in the womb area, but it's the energy of creation, whether it's baby or it's, you know, your projects, your inspirations, things that you're interested in. And then it's also your sexuality, your sexual energy, your hormones, all of that. We also have friendship and separation. So this could also indicate that you're in the energy right now. Maybe you recently lost someone close to you, whether this was a passing or this was a literal disconnect with a friend. The friendship and then the separation is kind of saying perhaps you grew apart, okay? But also I see this kind of as like you separating from yourself. Okay, so I feel like there's a part of you that just no longer resonated with an old version of you. And maybe that also meant forfeiting certain friendships with people. So maybe you've recently gone through something like that where you found yourself outgrowing people, no longer resonating with people and things in a certain way. So let's pull on that fork on the road. Let's get some further information on what's to come. Okay, we don't have any jumper cards with the tarot, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull. So we have the Queen of Ghosts, or the Queen of Cups, the Sun card, I love it, which is also solar plexus, by the way. The Two of Bats, which is the Two of Swords, and then we also have the Knight of Pumpkins. Beautiful. So this fork in the road, for one thing, fork in the road with the Sun card. Also, the fact that in your channeled reading, we were talking a lot about your childhood, your imagination, the imaginary friend, that kind of thing. And then Alice in Wonderland, which is very youthful in energy. I feel like all of those combined in one is you realigning with your original passions as a child. Realigning, because to me, the Sun card is very youthful. It's happiness and it's all of that. It's your joy. It's your solar plexus. But it's also like your childhood memories, your childhood things. So maybe it's like going back home, or it could be aligning somehow with your childhood, you know, or if it's a career change, it could be like going back into something that you were once interested in as a young girl, something you were once interested in as a child. It could be that too. We have the Two of Bats, which is to me a very like a card of being confused or blocked. having a hard time making a decision. But what the Two of Swords also is like, you got to trust yourself. You have to quiet everybody else around you and listen inwardly to yourself. What is it that you truly like? What is it that your soul craves? What is it that you truly want with that Two of Bats? And not listening to the outside noise. We have a Knight and we have a Queen of Ghosts. Are these parents? Are these influences? People influencing you on the outside? Is this a lover? Is this a mother energy around you? You know, these people, these could represent certain people in your life. They're on the outside part of you, like seeking your inner joy. Okay. This could be mom and dad energy. Like I said, this could be you and a lover. I mean, it could be, you could read it different ways. But whatever the case is, they're facing outward, like they're facing against each other. So to me, this is, if this represents you together, like just you, to me, this is, you're at odds with yourself. You're at odds with the path. And that's probably why I was seeing the fork in the road. Like this, the Queen of Cups is looking this way. The Knight of Pumpkins is looking the opposite direction, which is telling me that there's two different paths that you want to take. There's two different routes, two different things of interest, points of interest. My hands are all turning black from the marker. It's like, I feel like this deck never dried from when I did my deck mod. Anyway, so two different paths, two different things. And that's what I'm seeing with that. So that fork in the road could be really hard. And maybe that's why the separation card is coming up. Okay. Or is this separation card coming up? Was this a separation from a relationship that happened, or will happen? Okay. Like it could be something like that too. It's really hard to say. Like I said, anything that I read in the future is subject to change based on your present actions. So nothing is set in stone. But I do definitely see that you are in for, oh my gosh. And then look at your shadow card. It was gluttony. What were we just talking about with your health, right? It's really interesting. That is so crazy. So anything in the future is subject to change. Like you could change the outcome of your future based on what you do today. And maybe that's why Spirit is saying to change now. Make changes now to help you in the future. Don't wait for things the last minute. You know what I mean? Don't put it off. We have lust, apathy. So in your email, you didn't mention anything about a relationship. So I don't know if you're in one, if you're married, if you're not. But let's just pull on this because anxiety. So is there some discomfort that you have around love? Is love a sore subject for you? Is love something that maybe there's a situation that you're in, or someone that you're interested in, but you just don't know how you want to take it or deal with it? Is there somebody that you're hoping to be interested in? But apathy and anxiety is like anxiety perhaps around getting to know somebody new, the whole idea of dating, perhaps. Maybe that's why the Knight of Pumpkins was facing away from the Queen, because it's just shyness. Maybe you have a strong shyness when it comes to love. But for whatever reason, though, your cards are bringing up the lust. So maybe that's something that you deal with. Maybe you deal with more lustful energy versus actual romantic energy, because the lustful stuff is easier to grasp than a romantic relationship. I don't know, like it could be that too. We have the Queen of Wands, we have the Page of Bats, and we have the Five of Ghosts. I feel like maybe there's been situations in your love life, and I'm talking about in terms of the past, where you felt like you were constantly the mature one and the other person was not so much. The pages are young people. Maybe you date younger than you. And the Five of Ghosts being kind of regrets. So there could be some regrets in love. There could be some regrets in the way a certain relationship didn't pan out. Maybe that's where the anxiety and the apathy came from. This could have been a connection that maybe you were interested in the person or whatnot, but it was only a lustful connection. So that too. You know, and so maybe that's something. Maybe that is something that you've just never learned to get over. And so that creates anxiety for future love connections, that sort of thing. So the fact that that came up too is something that Spirit is kind of telling you to, that's something you got to work through. Because for whatever the case, like when a 5 card comes up, especially the 5 of the ghosts or the 5 of cups, it's a card of like regrets. And when you're living in regret, it's because you're living in the past, you know? So like you haven't moved on from it. So that's something else that the Spirit is kind of saying, like, you got to learn to let go of, okay? And lastly, let's just pull for an ending message for you. We have hunt, revelation, and ending. So hunting, revelation, and ending. Hunting for the final. I feel like that's kind of saying, like, if you want to know something, you got to hunt for it. If you want something in life, you got to go get it. The revelation is allow yourself to be inspired. Okay, allow yourself to see outside the box. And then the endings is like finally obtaining an answer, finally obtaining like the finality of something or a situation. I feel like that's what it is. It's like, stop living in limbo. Stop living in limbo and wondering. You got to hunt for the answers. Not being afraid to reach out. You know what I mean? We have strength, judgment, and Ace of Ghosts. I love it. Ace of Ghosts can be a pending relationship on the horizon. This could show, you know, when you're finally able to hunt after what it is you want, and when you can close the doors of the past and move on from it, you're going to see some new things happening in your life. And as far as love goes, that Judgment card is a higher calling. There's somebody trying to get your attention. So I'm telling you, like, and then there's the Strength card. There's strength in our past. There's strength in our past situations, our past experiences. You just have to allow yourself to close the doors to the past, forgive, forget, move forward, and hunt for what it is you want. No more sitting back and waiting for it to come to you. Why not you go out there and get it yourself? That's kind of a big one, I feel, for you. And then I really feel like this endings card, because you got the beginnings card before for your own energy. And the endings card here is just kind of saying, like, it's time that you see the finalities and things, get closure from stuff so you can move on. So there's certain things there from the past that you need closure from in order to move forward. It's almost like Spirit is saying, like, when you can close the door to the past, that situation, you can, it's like you're giving yourself permission to move forward to the next, and new love awaits. So I love it. I hope that this reading resonated with you, my love. I hope it gave you things to think about, stuff that made connections, things that made sense. Stuff that doesn't make sense now may make sense later. So just, you know, write notes about it and let it be. But thank you so much for allowing me to read for you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback you would like to give me, please send me an email. Otherwise, I wish you all the best, and I will see you later. Bye, my love.